Hi everyone, it's Eve. I want to explore my own personal thoughts and opinions and speculate about certain issues and what could they mean, not just on an individual or small group level, but an overall societal level. I find that there are many great content creators that are covering this case quite well with all the details, and content creators that specialize in the legal field that are covering this case through a legal lens. So if you're just trying to get a quick update about this case, try one of those other great channels. For these videos, in regards to the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni, and Wayfair parties case, I want to explore other topics that are less discussed on YouTube. Once again, to cover myself, legally speaking, what I say here, there could be some facts, but it's mostly my opinions, my speculations. Now for this video, I kind of wanted to explore some of the videos or pictures or audio that we probably will never get to see in this case. Ooh, but I would love to see. So if anyone could legally obtain some of these things and either post about it and let me know so I can come check it out, or send me what they've found, legally found, to my email, evesagewin@gmail.com, that would be awesome. But I ain't holding out hope. So the first thing that I would just love to see is in regards to the paparazzo Richard Fedek. This is the man that was charged for allegedly assaulting Ryan Reynolds with his car, that there was a conflict. I think this was in 2015. There was a conflict with Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, alleging that this paparazzo had been harassing them. This all went down in Vancouver, BC, Canada. This paparazzo was charged with these crimes, but eventually the charges, in my opinion, probably due to lack of evidence, because, like I said, in my opinion, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds like to lie and tell stories, were dropped. But that was after Richard had to spend a lot of money on legal fees fighting this until it was dropped. One of the other content creators, I think it was Without a Crystal Ball, did a deep dive into this, and she did multiple interviews with Richard Fedek. During one of these interviews, Richard Fedek claimed that the incident took place in a parking garage in Vancouver, and he was actually trying to get away from Ryan Reynolds. So he was driving down the parking garage to the exit gate, allegedly. And according to him, Ryan Reynolds got out of his car and ran down the different flights through the parking garage, because most parking garages have the parts for cars, but they also have like staircases that you can walk as a pedestrian and cut through. So as Richard was leaving, Ryan allegedly ran down like a crazy person, and just before Richard was able to get out, Ryan Reynolds ran up to his car, and as Richard Fedek kind of explained, he's like, I don't know, maybe Ryan Reynolds was like thinking he was an actual superhero like Deadpool. But in my opinion, I like to picture it as like Ryan Reynolds going all Hulk-like, you know. Ooh, Ryan Reynolds, me smash. I'm so strong. I'm a badass. Ugh. That's how I picture it. And Ryan Reynolds going ape on his car and banging on the windows and the hood and stuff. Well, later on, Richard claimed that there was allegedly surveillance in this garage showing Ryan Reynolds going all Hulk-like and like a crazy person, and that Richard Fedek did not really hit him with his car or physically assault him. I just wanted to say, though, just to clear this up, I'm not pro paparazzo. I do know that a lot of celebrities rely on them and will call them up and be like, hey, I'm going to be here. Can you show up and snap a couple photos of me? But don't let anyone know that I asked you to come here. So in some cases, the paparazzi help celebrities. But I also know that there's some really shady and scuzzy paparazzi out there that will invade celebrities' privacy, try to take pictures of their kids, and I don't agree with that. So overall, I'm not a huge fan of them. However, if what happened in the situation, as Richard claims, is true, that's disgusting. That Ryan Reynolds would try to get this man convicted of a crime he didn't do. Oh, that sounds familiar. Anyways, I do find it strange, though, because Richard Fedek said he knew about this surveillance video and that it probably cleared his name, but I may be incorrect, but I heard that this case dragged out for 2 years almost before Ryan Reynolds dropped it. Well, not Ryan Reynolds personally, but before the Crown Counsel decided to drop the charges. Now, if Richard Fedek had a lawyer, and he claims he did, why didn't Richard and his lawyer see this alleged surveillance video? I don't know. I just want to clarify that because, in my opinion, it's like, well, it is kind of weird that he didn't see it. But if it does exist, oh man, I would love to see it. Love, love, love. I mean, maybe the owners of the parking garage kept a copy of it because legally it's their property. Maybe they still have it. Maybe they could release it. I don't know the legalities of that. But I'm assuming that, in my opinion, if they did have a copy, Ryan Reynolds might have negotiated a deal with them to not release it to the public. Who knows? But man, I would love to see it. Ryan getting all crazy Hulk-like would be hilarious. And, well, quite frankly, scary as well. And obviously not hilarious for the consequences that Richard Fedek had to face. But I find sometimes you gotta laugh in these horrible situations sometimes, just to be able to get through them. Because it's also funny sometimes to see how ridiculous some of these celebrities behave. It's just nuts. The other thing that I would love to get my hands on and see, as far as I know, I'm not aware that there are any of these pictures publicly available. So this would have to be someone that physically took them, that owns them. I guess the photographer or, other celebrities. I would love to see Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds' wedding photos. The wedding that they had at Boone Hall, the slave plantation. That wedding. I would love to see those photos. Although I think I heard that all attendees at their wedding, and mind you, this was years ago, but still probably into effect, probably were made to sign NDAs, and the staff probably had to sign NDAs. What I find weird, though, is at the time when they got married, I forget what year it was. Let me check. Yes, I believe it was in 2012. At the time, there wasn't a lot of, public outrage for their choice of venue. But years later, there was. And that's another thing. She's accusing Justin Baldoni of planting stuff and ruining her reputation. But, girl, you've done shit like this for a very long time. That's not on him. That's on you and Ryan. What I find interesting, though, is when they did get backlash of their choice of venue of where they got married, years later, they played stupid. They're like, oh, we didn't know that was an ex-slave plantation. We didn't know. We just saw the property on Pinterest and we just got married there. So when they got backlash, I understand them not having any pictures on the internet publicly available because they wanted that story to go away. However, I'm wondering, back in 2012, they didn't get backlash then, why they didn't post some pictures then. Like, they must have known, like, oh yeah, it probably doesn't look good to get married at this actual location that's an ex-slave plantation. But I can't help but speculate that there's more to it than that. This may be over-the-top thinking, but I find myself wondering, like, when they hired their catering company, if they're like, oh, we were just wondering, do you employ a lot of black people? And then the owner's like, what? What? Why would you ask that? What? They're like, oh, no. We love black people. We're pro affirmative action. The owner's probably like, oh, okay, well yeah, we have quite a few black people on our team. And then in my head, Blake and Ryan are probably like, oh, thinking, yes, that's good. We want to have this wedding as authentic as we possibly can. If you catch my drift. Then, in my head, I imagine a scenario. Now, like I said, this is a speculation in my opinion. But I imagine a scenario with, like, come wedding day, most of the catering staff is, like, African American. And an employee is like to another employee, oh, hell no. John, get over here. Look at this shit. Do you notice something here? Why are we all black? Why is most of us working today black? Yet these guests, they're all white. Oh, hell no. I see what this is. I have to wonder how much they got paid too, because if I was an African American and I got hired to cater at Boone Hall, an ex-slave plantation, I would either say, go fuck yourself, or you're paying me a shit ton. So that being said, it would be interesting to see the photos taken that day and if there's any videos. Also, it's so cringe, but a lot of people, like on their page, the Boone Hall, how they advertise that they're historical and they do tours and stuff. And they do talk about slavery. So I agree with these ex-plantations if they want to make money and teaching people the history of slavery and then hopefully donating a part of that money to charity groups involving disenfranchised individuals or programs that specifically help African Americans. That would be great. I'm all for that. But as I was saying, if you go online, there's pictures of people having their wedding there. And at the ex-slave quarters, it seems like a popular thing for people to, because there's a couple of windows in each, I don't want to say, like bunk, and people like to poke their head through it, like the bride, the groom, the groomsmen, the bridesmaid, like to pose in one of those slave quarters, which is so cringe. I bet you, in my opinion, that Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively have a photo like that. So overall, in my opinion, that's probably another reason of why they've never publicly released their wedding photos. Because if they did, I think it would make things a lot worse for them. But that's just my opinion. One final thing that I would like to see, and I'm not sure if this is legally possible, so if anyone knows or is a legal professional or has some ideas about this, is all the footage of It Ends With Us filming. I heard that it was just easier for them to continue to roll the cameras at all times. even when they were not currently filming a scene. So I'm wondering, when this case is over, whether or not Justin Baldoni and Wayfair parties are vindicated or not, what are the legalities of them going, oh, well, we're just going to release this footage, and maybe we'll even package it up as a documentary of how It Ends With Us was made, and just like release it all. I don't know how much, 500 hours? I don't know how much footage it is. I think they said, if anyone could remind me, that would be great. But just release it all. Because you betcha there's going to be a lot of footage, in my opinion, of Blake Lively acting like a total fucking cunt. I also believe, in my opinion, that there'll be a lot of other footage of these other women that have had alleged issues with Justin Baldoni and Jamie Heath. I bet you they're going to be all smiles and hugs, and then it's just going to show all these people as liars, in my opinion. That's a lot of footage, but, I pop a big bowl of popcorn and I sit back and pull up my house coat and watch it all. Shit, you could even, make a party out of it. Get your girlfriends together, wear your florals, and then watch this, and buy a case of Betty Booze. Have a girls' night and watch making of It Ends With Us. Anyways, so let me know what you guys think. What would you love to see that you probably won't ever get to see, but you would just love it? Heck, you would pay good money to see. Let me know in the comments section. Just keep it respectful. And feel free to give me suggestions or ideas for any other topics that you would like me to explore or express my opinions on. That would be great. Bye.